What's going on, friends? In the previous lesson, the def keyword was used to define a function. A lambda function is a special type of function without a function name. Here is the structure of a lambda function. The lambda keyword is used, followed by the parameters. The section following the colon is similar to the body of a function. It is executed when the function is called. The result of this expression is automatically returned to the caller of the function. But why would you want to use a lambda function? You use it when you want to pass a function as an argument to another function. You also use it when you need a disposable function to be used for a short period. All of these possibilities exist because functions are first-class citizens in Python. We are going to explain what this means. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of the lambda function with different use cases. Without further delay, let's get started. To create a lambda function, we need to bring in the lambda keyword, followed by the parameters. For now, let's leave out the parameters, a colon, then the expression print, hey, lambda. This part of the code is what gets executed when the lambda function is called. Now that we've defined a lambda function, how do we call it since it doesn't have a name? This is where the concept of functions in Python being first-class citizens comes in place. It means that functions are similar to any other objects and can be passed around. So it is possible to write x equals the lambda function. To call the function, we use the variable name, in this case x, followed by the parentheses used when calling a function. So this is how we can call the lambda function. Let's run the program and see what happens. Great, this part of the code after the colon is automatically executed. This is similar to the function body and it is automatically returned to the caller. Let me show you an example to illustrate this concept using a regular function. Let's define a function named greet, def greet. The function body print. We need another function. Let's name it say hi, def say underscore hi. This function takes a parameter and the parameter is a function. Let's name it func. Let's call the function in the function body. Now the next step is to call the function say hi, say underscore hi. To call this function, we need to pass an argument because a single parameter is listed in the function definition. So we are going to pass greet, which is a function. We are able to pass greet, which is a function, into another function because functions in Python are first-class citizens, which means they can be passed around just like variables. This greet function is captured as func here. So in the function body, we are calling the passed argument, which is a function. Let's execute the program and see what happens. Great. Let's see another way to call a lambda function. We can call a lambda function by surrounding the function and its arguments with parentheses. Let's surround this function with parentheses, then another parenthesis. Arguments to be passed can be put here, but for now we don't have any arguments. So let's run the program and see the output. We got the same result. Parameters used in lambda function come immediately after the lambda keyword. We can then make use of the parameter in the expression. Let's assign this lambda function to a variable so that we can call it greet. Now let's call the function greet. Let's execute the program. Oh, I forgot to pass the argument ray. Let's run the program again and see the output. Hi ray. This is how we can mention a parameter in the lambda function and make use of it in the expression. We can also use more than one parameter age. Let's make use of the parameter in the expression f strings. Name is the name and age is age. We are making use of f strings here. Before we run the program, let's update the function call to take two arguments. Now let's execute the program and see the output. Name is Ray and age is 9. This is how we can use multiple parameters and multiple arguments with a lambda function. Multiple arguments can be passed to a lambda function, but only a single expression is allowed. That means we cannot use multiple lines of code in the expression. A lambda function cannot replace a regular function which has loops and multiple conditional statements in its definition. For instance, it is not possible to use if, elif, else in a lambda function because this requires multiple lines of code. A lambda function can take any number of positional parameters by using an asterisk before a parameter name. Let's define a new lambda function, lambda star x sum x. Let's assign the function to a new variable, summation. Now let's call the function summation. All the positional arguments are captured as a tuple. Be sure to check the previous lesson where we explained *args and *quarks in functions. Let's pass in some numbers as argument: 5, 7, 9. Now let's print out the result to the terminal. Print. Let's execute the program. The output shows the summation of the numbers. The map function in Python takes a function and an iterable such as lists, tuples, or strings as arguments. The function passed to map is then called with all the items in the iterable. The map function returns an iterator containing the results. Let's try out an example. Numbers equals a list of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's make use of the map function map. The map function takes a function as its first argument. Here we are going to use a lambda function, lambda x times x. This is the function needed by the map function. Next is to pass the iterable such as a list, numbers. This function will be called for each item in numbers. Each number in numbers is referring to x. For each x, this other part of the code will be executed. This is similar to the function body. This lambda function is simply returning the square of each of the numbers. The returned value from map can now be assigned to a new variable, result equals map. Result is an iterator containing the squared values. Let's print out the result. Print list of results. We are using the list function because we want to convert the returned value of map to a list. Now let's run the program and see the output. So this is how we are able to get the square of each of the numbers. This function is called on each of the numbers. We've only used a lambda function here. You can decide to use a regular function. Just ensure the function returns what you need. Let me declare a regular function to show you that we can use a regular function. Def square. It takes a parameter and it returns the square of a number. I'm going to comment out this line of code. Now we are going to use a regular function here. Let's run the program again and see the output. As you can see, we get the same result. All these are possible because functions in Python are first-class citizens, which means they can be passed around. For instance, here we are passing a function as an argument to another function. Similar to the map function, the filter function takes a function and an iterable as arguments. The filter function is primarily used when you need to extract items that satisfy a given condition from a dataset. Let's write a program that filters out only numbers that are greater than 3. My list, which is a list of numbers 1, 5, 6, 8, 11. Result, which is a new variable, equals filter, the filter function. Then we need to write a function which determines whether an item should be returned or not. Lambda, we are going to use a lambda function x greater than 3. Then let's pass the list, my list. Print list of results. This function, which is an argument, is applied to each element of the iterable one by one, and if the output is true, the element is selected by filter. X, which is a number in the list, is either going to return true or false. 1 greater than 3, the answer is false, so 1 is not going to be included. 4 greater than 3, the answer is true, so this function is called for each of the items in the list. Let's run the program to see the output. We have been able to filter out numbers greater than 3. So far, we have successfully employed the lambda function to accomplish various tasks. One thing about programming is the availability of multiple approaches to achieve the same task. Several examples that were completed using a combination of the lambda function and higher order functions like map and filter can also be achieved using list comprehension. These are some of the practice questions you can use to test your understanding. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. If you liked this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel.